This is going to be your guide to Rail Panic in Kirby Air Riders. So, Rail Panic is a weird one. Gets pretty crazy with enemies running around. You can hit them, you can get a little bit of speed boost off of them, and it's actually one of the more skill-based stadiums in the game because you gotta hit the rings, you gotta chase those downs, you can't get hit by the Gordos, gotta run around, not fall off, and then really go for that finish at the end. So, the more clean you play, the better your performance is. But also the characters and vehicles matter a little bit. So that's what we're going to be breaking down in the video. If you enjoy it, don't forget to leave a like, share with a friends, and comment your thoughts down below. Now, the Wagon Star is one of the best vehicles, but there's also some weird quirks for some of the other vehicles, so I want to talk about that, and then we can really break down the numbers. Because a Stadium Rail Panic isn't going to be representative of a City Trial Rail Panic. That, in my experience, I pick Rex, and I usually always hit that ring, which is a very significant boost. That can knock off half a second to 3/4 of a second off your time. And then the big thing is you kind of just need to practice a lot. Get the ring timings down because the rings are going to be in different positions every time you play, depending on your speed and your machine. So if you're just used to like, oh, I go straight and then I left and then I hold left and then I go straight again, no, that could actually change quite a lot. Especially if you're having a super fast run. So you need to be very reactive, and you need to also have the skill to hit as many rings as possible. Just because you're out in front doesn't mean that's when you get lax and go, I'm not gonna, risk going left or right and missing a ring. Like, you always have to chase the rings, or someone's gonna come from behind and beat you. Now, what about the characters and the vehicles? Well, this is where it gets interesting, because the Rocket Star is the fastest, and that's because Rail Panic takes place on rails, which are going to have your boost maxed out the entire time. So high boost, as well as top speed and weight, is important, and that's also why character and vehicle combinations matter quite a bit. Then we can see the Wagon Star gets second place, and the Bulk Star gets third place. Now, I didn't play perfectly. I tried to have a control of like, okay, I'm gonna hit roughly the same amount of rails and play roughly the same on each vehicle instead of trying to be like, oh, I'm doing 10 each and my fastest time counts. I was just going for averages, but as we saw with the Wagon Star, like a clean Wagon Star run gets you 24 seconds with just base no RD to D, and the reason why I picked no RD to D is he's one of the few characters that has high top speed and high boost, so using him as a baseline compared to the rest of the cast as well. Then the Turbo Star does good. Rex Wheelie, I had like mid 26s, but in the one I just showed earlier in the video, we got a high 25. So I think that's probably closer to the average. Just defending my boy Rex. Battle Chariot, effectively the same as Rex. So if you've ever thought, wow, the Battle Chariot and Rex feel the same, especially in like Rail Panic, yeah, you're actually correct on that one. The Warp Star. Reason why I have this one on the test is because I consider the Warp Star to be better than the Wagon Star in almost all cases, and it usually feels that way. Like, the Wagon Star feels nerfed compared to Kirby Air Ride, and it feels slower than it should be in races. Which is kind of soft confirmed, so I haven't even began to start considering a drag race guide because it takes a lot of time to test all the variables and all the characters and all the machine combinations and stuff. But with this on the top, I just went in a straight line and I hit 5 boost pads and they were roughly the same. But then for the other one, I played optimally and I only missed the next to last boost pad on Drag Race 1 because it's kind of out of the way. And if you're actually playing really well, Warp Star is faster than the Wagon Star in Drag Race because you're not sustaining that boost, so the top speed of the Warp Star being slightly better ends up mattering. So I'm not crazy, but Wagon Star is actually busted for Rail Panic, and because I'm just so down on the Wagon Star being nerfed, I didn't even give it that credit, so that's why we make these videos. Then, Wheelie Scooter. So if you get stuck on the Scooter, or if you just like playing it, because Scooter works really well. Its handling means you're going to win a race, you're going to do really well in a short derby, and maybe your drag race can also go pretty crazy. So Wheelie Scooter, just kind of viable for all the races as well. Then it starts to fall off. This isn't where you want the Formula Star. Turbo Star, even though it's a rocket, no, that's what the Rocket Star is for. And then the Slick Star, one of the faster stars, sucks here, and that's what we're going to be breaking down for the next run. So, even though it's obvious, I really want to stress that if you are not on the rail, you are losing. So, floatier machines are going to have a hard time, and you want to mash down and get on the ground as fast as possible, except in this section. You want to skip a lot of the slow, non-rail boosted driving, and then also hitting the spin pad for the boost is also really nice. But, like, this part part right here, also depending on your vehicle, just gets messy. Like, you want to land, and you want to be on the rail as fast as possible. So even if you have a character that gets a big speed boost, or a machine that gets a big speed boost being in the air, it's still going to be worse than being on the rail. So a floatier machine like the Slick Star doesn't really work out. Also, it's probably why the Warp Star is so far behind the Wagon Star, because it wants to float, and then you're spending time braking, slowing your speed to drop down and then hit on the rail. So actually, if we're using our brain, we can probably do quite a bit better. Okay, so I messed up my commentary on this next section. I say hold down, but I mean hold forward because it makes you go down faster. So we just need to hold down and faceplant as fast as possible, except on that ring right there, and then going for the side ones doesn't really seem to matter. So it's mostly the jump that's coming up kind of near the end. We're like, okay, we want to hold down and get straight down on that just to maybe clean up an extra half second or something. Tap A instead of holding it all the way down, and then again, lining up the rings is going to be what matters quite a bit. That didn't seem to improve our time. I didn't play it super duper perfectly, and then we also got hit by the laser, kind of showing you some of the variants and to also not chase anything on the ground. So you just need to like tap A instead of hold it, smash it all the way down, and then tilt forward and hope you try to get onto the rail as fast as possible. So the Warp Star is fast, but that's where the drop off comes in on the Warp Star. And then what about the Swerve Star? Swerve Star's fast, but it has a lot of lift. So even though it has like a crazy amount of boost and a competitive top speed, you're just floating up, and then you're also slamming down and braking harder. So the Swerve Star is terrible here. Now, what about other characters? So I didn't test all of the characters. I just kind of did random good machines with random characters to see how they stacked up. And then a pattern started emerging to where it doesn't really matter. So like, yeah, no RD seems to be the best because just the naturally high boost, but it isn't like a game-breaking thing. And then playing slightly better with a character like Lololo and Lalala keeps it competitive on the speed. So they're really good. Rocky, my favorite character. How does he hold up? Does all right on the Rex, but just kind of shows out, oh, Wagon Star is better. Cappy has a very low top speed, but a high amount of boost, so it doesn't really matter. And then Cappy does really well with the Wagon Star and the Bulk Star. D2D's just in there, doing fine. And then we also have DeRoach. Yeah, like you can just get average-ish times compared to no RD2D, where we look at the Bulk Star, he's 2583, so other characters can actually beat him. So like the character doesn't matter, the vehicle does, and then your stats are also going to be how this plays out. And like I said in the beginning of the video, it's actually just about performance. You want to come off the line really good, you want to win the trades with your opponents, and also, like I said, because floating is bad, you really want to avoid the Phoenix wings, but that's kind of RNG depending on like what it spawns and where your lane is. So yeah, as we can see, it's like you need to kind of get familiar on the rings, but the field of view is kind of tricky, so you have to be really reactive, kind of predictive, and then just be familiar to where the rings go. So actually, I could have brought Rex, again, into mid-25s there if I'd hit the other two rings, and if it was a city trial, I usually get enough speed to where I always hit that center ring, so I cuts off another half second or something, and now Rex is really good. So that's another thing about the wheelie scooter time, as well as the battle chariot time. Battle Chariot being slightly nerfed in this because it doesn't actually hit the center ring and get the significant boost that kind of skips the slow section of the cave. Also, here's an interesting part. Battle Chariot doesn't even clear that, which is pretty problematic. I don't know how that scales in City Trial, but it kind of shows like, oh, the Battle Chariot actually wants to go onto the side, and then that's kind of its own strategy. It is slower, but if you're just stuck on this, or you get like a random stadium and you have to make do with what you got, well, going on the side, you skip that ring, but then you can at least hit that boost panel and get something back and then try to salvage the run. So a little bit of a disadvantage compared to the Rex Wheelie. And then you just have to have confidence in the ring. You can't, nothing feels worse than like second guessing yourself and then missing the ring last millisecond. But it is kind of refreshing compared to the glide challenges because those have very little skill. It's just that if you can get the perfect not all the way back angle, and then it's just a stat check. With this, vehicle knowledge is important, but a Rex Wheelie can beat a Bulk Star. Rocket Star, you're like, unless you 100% know the stadium, Rocket Star is a gamble. You have to Giga Farm on anything but a Rocket Star, and then you swap to it in like the last 10 seconds and then you can win certain events because of that. And fortunately, your character doesn't matter, so it's just get good at Rail Panic with a touch of RNG on the items and how, like, the enemy clash early on goes, but it's recoverable, and then you just hit all the rings and win. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.